Hello, everyone, and welcome to this talk and event that was set up for you. I'm very glad that you are here again, and so we can speak, and I can speak with you. So, towards the topic that was chosen for this call, for this channeling, I would like to tell you, and explain to you things from my perspective, from the perspective of someone who is basically doing all those bad things to you. So the free will from the perspective how we basically choose to interact with you and maybe even take you for some rides, like you could call them, let's say, abductions, but of course it's it depends on the nature of the experience. And with us, like how we actually determine your will, let's say your free will, how you give us information that we need to actually work with you in whatever ways and invite you. Of course, there are also negative experiences that we would really call an abductions. And of course, there are certain beings that also, if you would say in whatever way that you don't want them to connect with you, and they still would. So free will, of course, you always have a free will, but free will is maybe something else than what you would think of as just a 3D mind from your perspective as a human, or let's say humans who don't consider multidimensional experiences. So as you know, everything is basically vibrational information, and free will is basically based on that. So you are vibrating certain truths to yourself, and they are basically translations of your free will as well. Of course, there can be some misunderstanding also with us, or among you as a humans. But when you discover that maybe you step through certain lines, you apologize, and we of course are able to do that as well. And sometimes, of course, we can have a certain like a step through some boundaries that when we see certain resistance, we of course step back. We don't want to push in any way on you. So from our perspective, when we are kind of like interacting with you and let's say taking you, as you probably heard about this as well, that of course you have a certain levels to you. You have a higher mind, higher self, your soul, and a great part of it is also what you call subconsciousness. So your subconsciousness is giving certain like a really truth about yourself, and your 3D mind, who you are right now conscious, then sometimes can be in conflict with the subconsciousness, and that is what is basically negative beliefs. Of course, and as I started in the beginning, everything is vibration, everything is energy and information. Negative beliefs are as well certain energetic information within you. And so when you, for example, work with your subconsciousness, and sometimes, for example, when you have experiences in a dream world, you can very easily feel like what is true to you when you are that easy access to your subconsciousness. So on our level, we really receive what your subconsciousness or your other levels say when we cannot reach you consciously, basically. So this is how we determine, for example, if we will go through something, and we of course can have a certain steps, like how we initiate contact or more contact. Sometimes, of course, you can, or humans can reach us as well, and we still would proceed with a certain when someone is reaching to us for a first time, we would still proceed with a certain stages, how we would determine, like how much we would kind of like take you in, and connect with you. So in that sense, when we cannot, ask your physical mind, of course, some people eventually, when they start, let's say, remembering connection with us or with whoever else, other ETs, and start remembering and have a negative experiences towards, like when it wasn't really negative experience, then their negative beliefs are being triggered. And this is also the way how I was talking about this for many times, in many different ways. When you want to reach a certain moment or a point in your life when you would have a physical, like real proper physical face-to-face contact with aliens or ETs, extraterrestrials, you have to go through certain stages of unblocking yourself. So this is also natural. So if we would, for example, have a positive connection with someone and experiences, if they wake up or like awaken those memories, and at some point they will reject them, we are not going to continue the connection, because at that point we have a new part of themselves, let's say, not giving us consent. Although, let's say, their higher mind and their subconsciousness, everything was screaming yes before, if they express it from their like new level of awareness that they don't want to connect, we are not going to continue further. So of course you always have a free will, and positive beings will always value it. They also never see you as something less valuable, lower, or something in that sense. And unfortunately, humans usually feel this way when they, connect or think about, for example, us or other, high evolved extraterrestrials or beings of other dimensions, that they are in some way less than us. But no other, whatever big being in the universe is and that is like evolved really would never think less of you. Just the same way you would never feel less for animals when you start waking up and seeing them for like really who they are. They are conscious beings as well, different from you, of course. They have also different consciousness, but you would still never see them as something less than you. You would just see them and as they are, as a creation, as they're supposed to be. So this is just the same. I'm sorry that I just compared you to animals, but of course, this is another analogy that can bring you closer to accepting yourself as well, more as we also accept you. So as I was saying, of course, like you have a free will, always free will, vibrationally choose what you wish. And also during the life, like, of course, you can experience something negative, or someone doing something negative towards you. Let's say if it's, like stealing something from you, or even doing something even worse than that, some abuse or whatever, then even when you would tell them, or something, you don't want that to happen, you may feel like you have no control over that. But as I was saying, that everything is vibration. Vibration is higher than what are your words, basically. Of course, as I was saying, not really with us. If you, but yes, it's still like if you express something as a no, like of course we receive it as energy, so we heard it. But of course, like when you are dealing with, for example, humans, they don't hear the vibration, and especially those who want to abuse you in whatever way, they will not hear even the words. So of course they can go against, let's say, your free will. But that also is leading me to the topic that I wanted to speak about negative experiences with the ETs that are, like basically negative beings. And also it not necessarily have to be only ETs. It can be also astral beings. It, like the boundaries between these definitions are of course very loose, but let's say it can be also identify some kind of other dimensional beings. Of course, sometimes even it can be lost souls, people who died on earth and are in some way negative. They can also be more parasitic and so on. So this type of beings, they are as well like living their purpose in a certain way. In what way they exist, not necessarily have been created like on by God in a certain way, but of course everything is coming from God, from a source. So in a certain way, they have been created, and they exist in a certain way. We don't judge them as well necessarily, because as well we see them for what they are, and their nature is basically to not listen to you as well what you want, and they would go and abuse you. They don't really understand it, probably that it's like a bad, because that is just their reality. They don't listen to you like when you think that you don't want certain experiences. Let's say you have a problem with astral parasites, that those are usually what you would call negative entities, who can kind of like attach to your field and suck your energy. Then they as well react on the vibrations. If your really no to them would be coming from some found power, inner power within you, and you would find the right vibration of no, you would be still able to let them go and send somewhere. So this is also maybe sometimes misunderstanding, that they also don't listen. It's, as I was saying, it's all about your vibration and how you are, what you are emitting. So in this sense, you still have your free will, but in more challenging cases, you have to find a way how to do it. And so, for example, as I was saying with us, we always also watch this kind of small clues. We also don't want to trigger too much negativity, in you, not necessarily because it's bad or something, but we leave that for some other beings, for other, let's say, tests and lessons that you need. We don't necessarily want to give you those experiences. It's not in, let's say, the vibration of us. We definitely wouldn't choose that. So this is, how it works for us, as I was saying. And I guess I can leave this topic right now in this level. And of course, if you would have more questions about what I didn't touch on, and you are, we want to know about, and especially the best would be if you would even bring some personal experiences. And so if I brought close enough this topic to you, you can express it. And if it's too far, for example, from still what you really wanted to know, definitely I invite you to ask me, because we need to learn from you as well. When you are asking, we learn about you and from you through these conversations, in what way we can explain to you. And if you have, because you have different perspective from your life, you have different point of view of like who you are. That's why it's valuable. It's not that's, as well as I was saying, that you are something less because, I don't know, you don't understand certain things. You have different point of view than from us, and we need you to clarify as well where we are not being clear enough. And when you do, you give us as well chance to see new perspectives about things. We are also not all knowing, because we can only as well understand through our perspectives, and that's what I was also bringing to you today. So you can bring your perspective to me right now through your questions.
Okay, well, thank you very much for that talk, Shayla. There's a few questions this evening. I'll start with the first one that this little talk brought up for me. And that was some years ago. I remember giving somebody, a friend, a treatment, a reiki treatment. And during that treatment, in my mind's eye, I saw like a black spider or something, which was wrapped around her waist. Mm-hmm. And as I was working around that area, I saw it sort of lose its grip around her and kind of fall away and disappear. So my question is, would that be something that her higher self would, I assume, would know about and allow to remain around her and maybe have a negative effect, even if the human level consciousness wasn't even aware of it on, at all. I keep hearing the perspective that everything that happens to us ultimately, from the higher perspective at least, happens for our highest good in the form of lessons and experiences. But in this situation, if someone's not aware of a negative influence, be it an entity or just some darker energies, I'm just trying to understand how that could be for her best interest.
Yes, yeah, I have different, things that I want to tell you towards that. So from what you are describing, I have to tell you, like, I don't want you to think about yourself that you are some kind of just a puppet, that your higher self is, guiding. You are the one who chooses, you are the one who is living it. Of course, you have a higher self and all those other levels, but you are, let's say, the most important and powerful point from where you are and who you are right now. So basically, your higher self, as you ask it, wouldn't necessarily try to, let's say, yes, if it was something negative, that it's higher selves, what is the word? Whatever. Like higher self is not the one that decides it. That's what I'm trying to say. So what happened there, or in this kind of situations in general, of course, it's about like lessons. You can understand it that way, but it's again like only about energy vibration, and energetic match. And of course, if you need to bring a certain way of understanding and purpose into experience, then the purpose is the lesson, of course. But in a mechanical way, like what happens is, like, of course, she had certain gap in her energy field. Something in the past could have happened to her that made her weak in certain areas. And then, you always have some kind of these entities who are flying around, because everything exists simultaneously in like a parallel realities overlapped. So when something like this happen, they kind of like see in their reality this kind of beings, certain opening from which they just attach themselves. So this is basically what you have been seeing, and it could have been even one moment or continuous negative experiences that this woman had before, and they made her weaker. So, and what happened during the healing was that you have been basically charging her and empowering her with the energy you have been giving it. So you have been basically charging the spots in the energy field that have been weakened before, and that was what was allowing that energy to basically attach to her. So when you empowered with the energy, charge her with the chi energy, their entity was not able to hold on to that, so because it was like a golden energy pushing it away, and it just from perspective of the being, what would be happening is like this kind of like wall was just starting to emerge, and it just it's like slippery in a way, and it just couldn't hold on to it, and it in a way like the door closed, so the being was gone. And sometimes of course, like when it's done this way, if the person has some unresolved let's say beliefs or whatever, their energy field could get again weaker over time, because if it's your energy that you are putting there, it kind of like vanishes if she doesn't fully kind of like integrate it, as her own, basically, and translate it into her own energy field. So sometimes, of course, this can happen, but doesn't mean that the same entity would kind of like attach to her. Not necessarily the same entity, or even any other entity. She could be experiencing like slight weakness, but still it would be healed. And especially when you would push the being away and create this even a temporary field, it would mean that her own energy could start healing in those areas and kind of like filling them up. So when your energy or the energy that you channeled would kind of like subside, then there would be her energy there that was able to kind of like regrow in a way. And that would be enough for her to be more protected, from this kind of beings. But of course, there are many different beings. They can always use some weaknesses as well if they are not like totally weak, and even create them. They can, they are trying to use whatever, like holes within your even mind and suggesting you things. So you would make certain choices that would make those spots, those weak spots, even weaker, and then they could again, kind of like attach to you. So do you want to know something more about it, or?
No, that's really, really helpful. Thank you
Mm-hmm.
so much. I guess to me, it just brings it home, the importance of sort of looking after oneself and maybe checking in with ourselves each day so that we're sort of really looking after ourselves in that sense. Okay. Well, I will hand over to Autumn. If you'd like to unmute yourself and ask your question, please.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. I'm sorry, someone's taking care of my son right now.
Yeah, I can hear.
Thank you for coming to share today, Shayla. I'm really excited to be able to talk to you. So I actually had an idea for a question, but after hearing, I'm not quite sure anymore. I think I will go with my original one. So last summer, I started to be contacted by what I believe is a Pleiadian now, who's interested in, well, it sounds like she's interested in channeling through me first, but it sounds like there's a long-term plan to eventually meet in person, which I'm a little shocked about, and sometimes I don't actually believe is going to happen. But for about a year, we were pretty close in contact, and this past summer, I've been having different things coming up related to trauma, and a little overwhelmed with some what I feel like are big issues that I have to try to work through. And I've kind of felt like the contact has gone a little bit more silent. And it seems like, because I'm kind of being challenged related to abduction stuff related to when I was younger, that were scary. I was a child and I was physically abducted, and it was scary experiences. I haven't really fully recovered the memories yet or integrated anything. And I'm guessing that's why she's backed away a bit. And I guess I'm just curious about that, related to how trauma influences our ability to connect, or how close or how far these ETs will be in terms of interaction.
Yes, so in case of Pleiadian energy, of course, this entities or being is a positive one, and it shows, in what way she is, dealing with you as well. And in general, when you are being contacted and open to connection that is positive, of course, those vibrations will be bringing up specific things for you to deal with. It will be bringing out to the surface vibrations that are not in like a agreement with, or not agreement, but in the correct vibration. Sometimes I'm missing words. With the vibration of the contact itself, with her, let's say, or with whoever, basically, the race. So, but they usually, are representative energetically of like wider, range of ETs, not just her herself. So of course she is, or her energy is not that she would be doing consciously. It's just her energy would be bringing these things up, and of course then you need to deal with them. And a reason as well, like, of course, that she kind of like stepped back was to not trigger even more, because she doesn't want to trigger even more before you process what was already, being brought up, So when you will be able to process it, then you will more likely get, more connection with her again, or, getting further in that connection and forward. And of course, like, I understand that it's very easy to also doubt that you eventually would be able to have these experiences, but for many humans it's still very possible sometime in the future, that you would gain a certain vibrational knowledge and vibration of being, and that you would be able to have the experiences like this face to face. So also, like, what happened there, like, when you are in general, when something gets triggered, she is not really away, that she is kind of like on a certain edge, like when she would not be triggering you too much, but you can always invite her to speak to you according to what you want to process. You can talk to her about what you are experiencing, what is being brought up, just imagine that you are speaking to her about all these feelings, even bad feelings, and details of those experiences that you remember. And when you are speaking with me, I am also sharing, and when I'm listening to you, I'm feeling like the energies that are connected with your words and with those experiences in overall. That's why I'm able to give you answers. So when I'm processing the energies, I am basically, through my empathy, giving you back something that is already helping you to, resolve those energies. So this way you can as well always, talk to her as well. And it can be in different ways. Sometimes if you don't feel like you can hear her or connect with her, just believe that she is there and she can hear you, she can feel all those things. So when you would be having this new challenging thing, or something coming up, when you would be speaking to her, or imaging at least, it would be different than you are just thinking about it. You can also use, for example, journaling, that it also is helping process those energies. But especially if you would be trying to kind of like let her, or let yourself to speak to her, like directly, like sending those things to her, she would share something back to you. If it's words in maybe it can be words, but it can be sometimes energies, and those energies are enough to kind of like have it move, those energies slightly. So yeah, I guess that's all I wanted to say. Is there anything else that you would like want me to talk about this that I didn't answer?
First off, thank you. That last bit that you said there really struck a chord for me, and really helped me realize that this is a back and forth relationship. I kind of
yes.
forget that that's the case, because when I first encountered her energy, it was so beautiful. It's like really hard to like imagine that she would be interested in getting anything back from me, but you're correct. I can sense that, that this is
and one thing that I forgot to tell you when I got a little bit interrupted here, that of course, like when energies and relationships shifts, when you get triggered like this, when you have to process something heavy, like you can as well, use your free will to, direct her as well. Like, of course, she doesn't want to trigger you too much, but you can give her like, okay, I want you to still connect with me, but of course, only in the ways that would be only helping me to, for example, process right now what I have, and not opening too much new stuff, let's say. So
yeah,
always in control, and you can definitely give that not just to her, but also universe.
That makes sense. Thank you. I guess my last question would be, don't want to take up too much time here, but if you can tune into my energy at all, and if I could get any advice on the Djinn that's attached to my family lineage, and any advice about helping to remove that, because I'm finding it's a little different than dealing with like a thought form. This is like an entity from a different plane, and we're just trying to figure out a way to send it back, and having some trouble with that.
I never heard, someone calling the entity Djinn. So, but of course, I understand from the, some stories from the films, like what is Djinn. But you have to elaborate a little bit more on like what this being is.
Okay. Well, when we first encountered it, we knew that it was a little bit more difficult than just like a thought form that was like attached, and that it seemed to be more its own entity. And when we searched further into it, we discovered that it was coming from my Middle Eastern lineage, and jinns in Islamic tradition are entities that were captured from a different dimension and kind of brought here to do the bidding of ancient magicians, like, to put it very simply. And it's just something that's been attached to my family for a long time, kind of going through the female line. And yeah, so we're just having trouble figuring that out, like how to unattach that and send it back. It feels a little bit more complicated than like a typical ethereal, like astral attachment.
Yes, I could give you some advices, but first, for me to give you the actually best and something that would actually work, I want to know as well what you tried, for example, until now and didn't work. So I don't repeat, same stuff.
So we asked for advice from somebody who has been doing this kind of stuff for a while, and he had advised us to basically go into like a trance-like state and get it captured to kind of contain it so that it wasn't bothering us quite as much. So we had captured it into like a little bottle. It sounds kind of silly, but he had said that deeper trance states were going to be necessary to figure out how to send it back. And because it's coming from a different dimension, I've tried to interact it and, give it love and things like that. It doesn't seem to understand that concept, because I don't know if that kind of vibration exists in its dimension. So, yeah.
Yes, this kind of beings, as I was saying also in the beginning, they don't really hear on like, let's say, no, or even kind of like a love, because you are still kind of like, because when you are especially working with in a certain way, like acceptance, as a spiritual, practice like of acceptance and love, in certain cases it can work, but not on this kind of course beings, because for them it's like almost like, okay, you are accepting me, you are loving me, so that's why I'm staying, and I'm continuing doing it. So this is again like a vibrational thing. That's again like I wanted to tell you this, but already before I ask you. So I feel this is one way I can help you or give you advice. It's about empowerment with this kind of beings, and they are or this specific can be even trapped by you being attached to it as well, with your belief that it's attached to you. So in a certain way you can, one thing is as well to kind of like work with really letting it go, like something that's if like you would be even losing kind of like some part of you or your heritage, it can be attached to those kind of beliefs as well. And so but in general it's about finding the right vibration within yourself that is empowered and being able to push it away from that. It's still like coming from the love, but the love that you are also saying or describing feels kind of like coming from exhaustions in a certain way. And exhaustion means that, or being fed up even by that being there, and that means that, like where there is exhaustion or frustration, it means there is a lack of energy basically. And so you wanted to go from the disempowered place, let's say. So the way that I would advise for any type of being really is to really find your own self-empowerment, and you can learn it through different experiences during your life. When you would be or in like a training with a different being or different people that you meet even every day somewhere, because you have a plenty of rude people who they like to abuse you. So through that, just stop kind of like shutting yourself down in a way and speak up. In those moments, learn from the third chakra to kind of like speak that, okay, I don't like what you are doing right now or what you are saying. If a person is in some way maybe manipulating you or gaslighting you, it can be something even small, but it can happen very often if you are meeting people on everyday basis. So it's about learning to speak up and not shut down yourself and or shut up in a certain way, because that is again like a certain vibration of saying or not speaking basically. And this is kind of like passive way of trying to get rid of it, is like this acceptance and loving and stuff like that. It's passive, and you need to do it more actively. You really need to find a certain kind of like even warrior like, and even anger sometimes inside of you, that you have really enough, and it's really coming from your third chakra, that this is enough and I don't want you to stay, or I don't want you to be here. And you could get some inspiration in those moments as well, because you have the power, you have the energy emerging within you for you to deal with it. And that energy that will be coming from basically your soul and your higher self as well, you would be channeling it through your third chakra. It would give you as well inspiration what you can do with it. And when you have this newly found energy and power, it would be very simple to let it go basically. So it's really about your inner empowerment and helping yourself that way. And as I was saying, you can find that either like really meditating as well with yourself and finding those gaps within your self-confidence, and also self-confidence within this specific issue as well, but in a general as well. And learning how you can really reach that confident part of yourself that really knows that you are powerful enough and you can just ping it this easily away.
Yes, that all seems to really resonate and kind of validate feelings that I had been doubting. And it's very easy to get caught up in the idea that that some things out there are too dark or too complicated to like get rid of easily. But I think that's a part of the trap,
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. And also like in general way, for example, how to support yourself to actually maybe even be able to find that courage towards that. It's again like looking at yourself in other situations, small situations throughout your life, how you react, and if you are more passive and just letting things happen to you, or you would charge more. And it's also towards yourself as well, when you would also empower yourself more with, let's say, taking care of yourself more, you would again let yourself get charged in different ways as well. For example, I always have to say about like getting your physical body more healthy, because your physical body is as well that shell that you are in, that is holding as well, and channeling that energy and holding it into this third dimensional reality, and it can amplify that experience, energetic experience, that you can then project towards that being as well. So making sure that you can as well support your physical body in best way possible. It can be through, like healing it more, detoxifying, and as well going into nature. In the nature, there are always, energies that you can ask for, to recharge you and help you. Trees are very, very powerful beings here to help you as well.
Sorry to jump in here, Autumn. I think we're running a bit over.
That's okay.
Maybe if there's time at the end, come back to it.
No, I feel pretty satisfied. Thank you so much, Shayla. That was great.
Yes. Thank you for asking and coming here. It's my pleasure, to help you in this way. I'm very, glad and grateful, that I can help you, and that it resonates and can, direct you into better realities for yourself.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think we had Andre next, but I'm not sure if he's with us. Then there was Abser Silva. I'm not sure he's here too. So the next person I've got is Yunus. If you'd like to unmute and ask your question as well.
Thank you. Hello, Shayla. Thanks for this session for tonight. So I have been told that I have a counterpart in a Sassani planet, and my counterpart's name is Jora. And again, I've been told that this being can create artwork with his hand, just by using hand, with light. And these paintings can become portals that you can actually enter these ones and have some experiences. And with that talent, this being grows rapidly. That's what I've been told. So how do I connect with him? I sometimes activate my Kundalini energy, but not fully. I cannot fully activate it. It can only reach up to my middle of the back. So can I use that energy to connect with him, or can I use the dreams? And lastly, is it possible for you to connect with Jora and bring me his message about how I can contact with him? Thank you.
So first about connecting with him. If you haven't really felt his energy yet, then that is crucial to connect with him, basically to identify his energy. So have you felt him yourself, or it was just told to you by other channel?
No, well, actually, in my dream, I've been told that he's masculine. He's a he. But in my dream, I kind of try to find him, and but it turns out he's a she. He has this hairs. But again, yesterday in my Kundalini experiences, I don't know. I think I see two eyes when I close my eyes, but I'm not sure if he's him. I'm not sure if I can.
Okay. My advice to you is definitely follow what is really happening to you first, and how you are perceiving these beings, because sometimes also channels can get things wrong. I'm not saying that it's necessarily wrong what you have been given, but right now, if you are actually being shown, or you feel that the being is female, then I would advise you to follow that. It's even like with me and this channel that is just speaking here, at any time, if something else is really in your experience is telling you different than what we, for example, tell you, what we are able to translate you this way, then you definitely always have to follow that energy, not what is being told to you. Of course, channeling can be as well inspirational, and definitely what you have received is very inspirational and interesting, but as I'm saying, I would definitely follow the being that you have seen and connected through your dreams. Maybe it's different being, but still it's the one that obviously is there for you to connect quicker and first. She may be, if the being that you are talking about is another male, she can be a gateway to connecting with him as well, or other beings as well. And so, for example, the idea that was giving to you with the artwork and hence it's interesting that you can as well, try to manifest something like that in your dreams and go through those portals. You can ask for this kind of artwork to be created with the specific purposes, for example, to connect with either him or with her, and to ask for more clarification. You can ask, because it's just the same as whatever type of energy work, energy healing. It can have many different modalities. Even this is the type of work, energy work that we are doing right now. And when you are doing some energy work, you can always put intention into that. So you can ask, for example, for this being to create this type of artwork that you can find in a dream state, and you can ask them to put certain intentions into it, like help you with like meeting him or her, or remembering, getting more clarity about like what is this connection for you and stuff like that, or whatever. But it has to go also from inside of you, and really what are your desires to explore further with this relationship, whatever it is, and whoever it is. So just always like when you get information from channelers, it's important to kind of like get confirmation through your own experiences later, and sometimes, of course, it can take few years when you would understand what the channel was really, telling you. And sometimes, of course, messages can be, set in a certain way that you will understand it one way, but later you will realize, oh, it was meant in a different way. So anything can happen during the channeling, and it shouldn't be, in my opinion, take always too literally, but always kind of like understood in a different way, like through feeling or whatever, like that you can find other meanings there as well. So, and of course, for connecting with the being through your consciousness in your physical body, not in a dream state, like what can you do is, again, trying to, the first is always important to feel that being, that energy. And when you have an intention to even connect with him, let's say, that was being told to you, and you meditate and something else comes up that you realize, okay, that it's female, then I would say it's the being that you have been calling up, but the energy just got clearer and you understood it in a more precise way directly through yourself. So always let in the energy as it is, not as what you expected, because if you have certain expectations of what you sometimes even want to hear, want to experience and stuff like that, then you are basically blocking yourself from it coming to you the way it needs to. Does it help?
Yes, thank you. I think I should be connecting, I should say out loud in my intention and getting meditation, and before I sleep, maybe also I should say my intention, and in the dream I need to ask them this artwork talent, and this maybe eventually create contact, you say, right?
Yes. This is just a suggestion. Again, like it's always about what your imagination and creativity perspective brings, what I'm saying can be another kind of like inspiration to you. And when you would be trying to create it or put that intention there, you may start feeling that you want to actually change it in some way, or something else could come up, and you, in order to connect further with whatever experience you are supposed to connect to or being, you have to follow what is directly there with you, what you are directly experiencing. So if the energy is leading you in a different way, you always have to follow that.
I understand. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you have another question?
No, actually, I don't have. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Yunus. So, Shana, would you like to unmute yourself and ask your question as well?
Yes. I have trauma from being abducted, and I was recommended by a Sassani being that Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique is a great tool to help me release it, and that it can make a total shift in our reality on all 5 levels: spiritual, mental, astral, etheric, and the physical level. I did try a session, and my higher self didn't come through. I was able to go into past lives, fine, but I was very much aware of the facilitator, and like just even hearing her stomach grumble and having feelings of sort of getting bored with the life that I was looking at. I mean, it was a wonderful life and everything, but I didn't think there was anything more for me to learn from that. And she did try to get me, my higher self, through. Is there something you could tell me about that? Why the resistance?
It doesn't necessarily has to be your resistance. Like this is again coming from, as I feel it, from this empowered place, because you are putting your power into other people. You are putting your power into, let's say, the person who is, again, like a channel and giving you specific information that what is going to be the best for you, and then you find someone specific to do it. You always have to ground back to yourself and ask yourself, like if connecting with higher self is actually about like tuning into those feelings, into those small intuitions, and into your heart, what is telling you, and finding that resonance. So you will be actually expanding your connection with the higher self if you would be listening inside, And so you always have to, check, like, even like, of course, this technique can be useful for you, and maybe it is what you should do next. But again, it's about timing. You don't have to rush it. That is another thing, that sometimes things can happen maybe a year later when you are really ready and you would feel it again. Your higher self would guide you, like you would suddenly get that feeling that, okay, right now you want it. And another thing is as well checking with your intuition before the session with a certain person, like if they are the right person as well, because no one is the same with the healing, for example, Reiki healing, or whatever else, like even if you would go to, let's say, one person who is, let's say, repairing cars, and another one, they all can have, different skill set, and how talented they are, let's say, so before the sessions and reaching out to specific people, you should definitely always check with yourself, like maybe you even feel that, okay, this is the right person, but you feel like, okay, not right now as well. So it's always about those kind of feelings. So don't push yourself into like, okay, and that someone told you, and like you again make a channeling kind of like something that is higher, about your own your self-empowerment. Again, like that self-empowerment is as well connected with that free will. So in this way, even when I'm cleverly connecting it with the topic, is like you are giving even your free will away when you listen and just follow what other people say, when you feel that, okay, they maybe know better than you, you don't know anything, you are lost in certain ways. So from this, I would just say that you just didn't find the right person and right time to do these things. And again, I would advise you to rather, to maybe sometimes even wait for the right person to really come, not to go and search sometimes, for someone specific. And that's what I understand you did. You have been told, through some other channel that this is the thing that you should do, or it would be the best. And then you went yourself to search for someone, and again, it's sometimes best even not to look for example, best prices in a certain way. You always have to follow that feeling, that intuition that tells you, okay, that this is someone who I would like to work with. And don't look at prices. Sometimes even the best ones can have very low prices compared to some other ones. So in whatever situation, if it's cheap or more expensive, if you don't really follow the intuition of your journey, then it would be always kind of like, let's say, wasted money. But at the same time, it doesn't have to be if you, again, learn something from that experience. And sometimes it can be, as I just told you, that you need to get back to yourself, believe in yourself more and your own, judgment and intuition. Or if you can't, just try to grab it, how can you actually be more decisive yourself, Probably not the answer you expected.
Actually, no, it's wonderful. I definitely, as soon as I heard that method, I'm like, oh, this might be the answer. Finally, I can relieve this trauma. I'll finish the session and be done. And after I had it, it didn't turn out the way I wanted. I realized that, it doesn't mean that. That perhaps I have the answers already inside me, and I actually believe that. So that I have access to those answers, and I didn't need this session to find them. Is it true? It's not even is it true. Even not even doing another QHHT session, but is it possible for all of us to make the changes on all 5 levels just by processing or transforming our emotions? So, for example, I often, if something comes up and I'm triggered, I will process the emotion and imagine what my higher self, or not my higher self, but another version of myself who I want to be. Does that transform on all 5 levels, or is there still something deeper that needs to be done?
Yes, what I want to answer, if you are experiencing transformation on all the levels, it means the transformation is happening on all the levels, not only just emotional level. But of course, emotional part can be guiding you through those other levels, and you would be again, if you are processing just emotion itself, and it doesn't go really deeper, then you just kind of process it as it is now. Maybe you can get calmer, but you don't really go that deep, And when you would be processing something through emotions, but it would be going deeper, you would definitely feel there is a difference in suddenly, your thoughts are being guided in a different ways, and again, deeper, and new thoughts would be coming up that you feel like you wouldn't actually think yourself, it being just brought up, through your subconsciousness, and you are suddenly thinking about completely something else, that you are following a certain, let's say, chain of events, emotional events, you are gaining certain deeper knowledge through that process as well, that is kind of like a sign that you are really going deeper through that transformation, because it's not just emotion, it's also those beliefs again as well around it, you know, and through those you can you know, really shift certain, I don't know, like it's not really beliefs or it's not really just emotions. It's just like your whole state of being that was in that past experience, and you are able to suddenly experience it in a new way. And for example, like, of course, like this, you know, technique with the hypnosis can be helpful, and also for you, I mean, specifically. But again, if you would find the right guide, because it's all about the energy of the person as well, because they are really triggering and guiding you through that experience energetically. So maybe you just didn't find the right person as well for that. And but this process can happen in many different, you know, settings and tools. You know, for example, you can even when you would have like a healing experience with someone, just placing their hands on you, again, it would be of course intention, but if you would as well find someone who is very you know, skilled in this way as well, even just this could be helping you to kind of like connect more with your higher self and go deeper. And again, like it would help you to process those emotions this way as well. So the experience that you had there, that was not guiding you deeper, was that yes, like you can, for example, experience this kind of things as well in a dreams. For example, you have a dream of like certain past experience that you had, and you are feeling very negative about, and you have this dream coming back, and you still react in the same way. So this is something that you kind of like experience, although you went back into a certain experience, but you kind of like didn't have anything like new there to do. But when you kind of like shift yourself in a certain way, subconsciously, for example, in those dreams, you can suddenly have the same kind of like experience again, but you suddenly decide to react in a different way than before, and that can shift that energy. So yes, basically it's again like it's about basically someone helping you to guide through that kind of experience, you know, that would really pull you deeper. And it doesn't sometimes have to be like a specific type of hypnosis, because as I was saying, you know, it can be even, you know, you could find even, let's say, normal psychologists who can do hypnosis that would do the job for you, you know, who are in some way more skilled this way. It's about like really guiding you deeper in those states. Or as I said, it could be someone as simple that would be doing healing with just hands, you know, and that would allow you to, you know, have the experience that you need. Or, you know, it just, you know, like right now, for example, what I can as well, you know, give you kind of like advice is, you don't have to listen, but is that maybe wait, you know, like set a strong intention, like, okay, I have these experiences and I really want to, and really ask it from inside. Like you have to feel it, that you really want to process them. This, for example, these abduction experiences, and this specific, and really just send it out into universe, your higher self, and really make decisions that you really want to process them. And things will start, you know, moving on invisible levels. And when you will continue the proper flow of your life, at some point you will get into the point when you would be guided specifically. It even can sometimes be like speaking only to someone, you know, and they can trigger you, for example, like that, you know, and give you some healing. Someone just you know, can have some specific phrase that would somehow shift you completely, and so on. So just let it come, you know, don't try to, let's say, push it, you know. And the best way to really transform these things is to like really have that decision strongly, settle down, and just let the universe bring it to you.
Wonderful. I loved it. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you, Shana. Justine, you're next.
Is she here still?
Yep.
Hey.
Maybe she's, yeah, you're not sleeping yet?
Here. Hi. Hi, Shayla.
Hello.
I have questions, but I would prefer to let the space to other people because we are used to speak often, but just wanted to say hi. So.
Hi. If you are in the list, you know, next person behind you is only Ryan, so I guess you can.
Okay, so yeah, actually, I wanted to ask about that young lady that came to visit me a couple of nights ago. I think she was a hybrid.
Mhm.
I don't know. I think she was half human, half gray, but not sure exactly which exact species. I'm not sure, but she was so kind and very young. Her energy felt like 11 or 12 years old, and she was extremely curious. And we had a nice contact. It was really genuine. It was funny. She wore some sort of raspberry color suit, and she was very kind, and she observed me doing Kriya yoga. And I wanted to know if you could tell me something about her.
Yes, she was a hybrid child.
Yeah, like a child.
Yes. So I don't know, like, what else I can tell you, because yes, she of course was interested, you know, to connect with her, with you, and she, like, from what I, you know, feel, and I of course know this child, you know, she was just, you know, curious, you know, because you have been opening up so much lately, you know, she just, you know, was able to connect with you in that way, and there are some other that would like to connect with you. I mean, hybrid children. So this one was the one that just decided to come forward more and to connect with you. And so what else I can tell you, like, is of course there is a reason for you to connect with me as well, to be attracted to me as well. I'm feeling my energy so strongly because you as well visit us, and hybrid children, you are very connected with them as well, and so they know you, you know, there are many that's you know, in whatever format and time have been already playing with you. So this one is just one of them, one of those that already knows you, and is very knowledgeable about your energy. So she wanted to, you know, experience something with you. And yes, the thing that you are doing as well, you know, practicing, is something as well that was the reason as well why she was attracted to experience it with you, because she sees you as a friend. And you know, many times, you know, like, for example, in our society, you know, that hybrid children, although they have specific parents, but we are as teachers as well, like they're kind of like substitute parents, you know. We all have kind of like this friendship, kind of like a parental relationship with them, so they can bond in this way as well with other humans that come and visit them and play with them and spend time. So whoever is kind of like a teacher in a certain way is holds a vibration of being like a parent to them as well. So you still have as well the connection, or she feels the connection to you as kind of like this as well, kind of like a little bit of like parental type of energy as well, because she likes to learn from you, and you know, she has that friendship, and like you offer her as well as many other children certain, you know, emotional, you know, availableness that, you know, they can connect to. So so that is like what brought her to you. I don't know, like, what other things that I could you know, tell you about this experience or her, or
That's already so awesome. I'm really happy because as soon as I saw her, like, she was really standing in front of my bed, a bit like, oh, I would react, you know, not sure. So I went to her and I did some sort of high five, like, how are you? And I was so joyful to see her. And and I wasn't scared at all. Quite the contrary, actually. And later, when I was doing my Kriya yoga, I saw her in my mind's eye,
eye, yes.
and yeah, and she was so absorbed to watch me doing Kriya. So I sent her a telepathic message like, it's okay, you can stay and watch. And I tried to explain her what I was doing. And I was so happy to explain something to someone.
Yes, she was happy as well. And, sometimes you are being watched and you are not even aware of it. So this is something, that is very precious for her as well.
Oh, that's so cool. So if there is any other Hebrew children that want to come, they are absolutely welcome in my home, and you can pass the word to them. Maybe they are aware, but
yeah, hopefully they will not get like too much of them, and you will get too overwhelmed by them. So with this message that you are sending,
yeah, I don't know.
overcrowded.
Yes, it's a small place, but
Yes.
Yeah, I don't have any questions. I just wanted to share that. So thank you very much just to give me more comprehension about all of this. So it was nice to connect with you, Shayla.
Yes, always with you as well.
See you later. Bye.
Bye and good night.
Good night.
Thanks, Justine. Okay, Ryan.
Yeah, hey Shayla. Like as I'm sure you remember, the last time we were talking about ascension, and I said I had a lot more questions. So yeah, let me get back to my list. I was going to ask you last week. Like you might have touched upon a little bit of what I'm about to ask, but I mean, if you could talk about it again, I'd appreciate it. Like, does the entire species like shift to the fifth dimension at the same time, or is it kind of like, like whenever each person undergoes like whatever transformation they need to do, like then they, I don't know, like then they shift themselves to a version of the fifth dimension where the rest of the collective is already there, or I don't know, how does it work? Like, does each person go at the same time?
It depends, it can be always on a different planet in a different way. But usually when the idea is translated into like it happens suddenly to everyone, it's usually coming from like translating this information is really about like this happened in, let's say, to someone or to some species, but still through period of time. It wasn't always like only like one moment suddenly it happened. So it usually is translated most of the times in this way, because person is as well desiring for it to happen in that way, kind of like having beliefs to kind of like escape the reality faster. But of course, as I said, in some cases, of course, something like that happens, but again, like as I was saying, also in different sessions, like that point, when you get into that point, it's not like a surprise, it happens from no apparent reason. It happens because there is a certain evolution of consciousness in a species, that it can happen, like everyone is ready. So but in this case, like I know that you are asking it specifically for you as a humans, so in this case it's more about like really right now for you to doing it on your own in a certain way. And as I was saying, it's not really about like that you will jump or have a, let's say, the 5D experience, as well throughout your life. It would be just shifting of your perspective, and you when you are still having physical body, it would be still kind of like 3D experience, but you would be just evolving. You would be more, let's say, enlightened in a certain way. You can gain more skills and stuff like that. So that is the potential that you are reaching, in your lifetime, humans right now. And so there is not really necessary that, like for you to be kind of like waiting for it to happen for everyone without work in a way that maybe some will be doing the work and some not, and they will get it cheap because it would be this sudden ascension for everyone. It's really right now about the individual work, and of course at the same time, when species, as I was saying before, as humans, will be progressing in this consciousness, when let's say the lowest awakened person, or at least awakened person, would be still enough for it to make more drastic change. But it not really what people right now, or what is in your kind of like timeline, what is necessary, because you are mostly choosing it to like going through the transition slowly, and actually mostly individually, but of course it translates into collective. Collective energies are basically just kind of like average in a certain way, or basically still collective of all the energies of every single, let's say, human in the group, and not just only those who are living right now. It can be, of course, all the bonds of you, for example, to your lineage, whatever energies are still influencing you, and so on. So they are still kind of like part of that collective as well, and influencing it. So that's why also people right now need to clear and transform their, let's say, traumas that came through lineages and so on. And so I don't know, like, what was again, like your question? If I'm not sure if I didn't forget some points that you mentioned, or did I answer it enough, or do you want some more, clarification, or get into some detail? Yeah.
Well, I mean, like the basic idea that I was wondering about is like, does like whenever a person ascends to the fifth dimension, like, does it just depend on like where they are themselves, or does the entire collective have to be at a certain level? But I mean, I guess you pretty much explained that. But like another.
Yes, sometimes, of course, there can be, like, even now, and even in the past, there can be very special individuals that they can do it, and can do some specific or special things, and they are usually what you refer to as ascended masters, that they experience something like this. So yes, definitely something like this can happen, but in the past, the reason why it happened, and even right now, it's because they are giving you a certain, again, like a knowledge that you need to do it, let's say, slowly and collectively, so they're they're on a different journey, but it's not necessarily like a, let's say, benefit for a whole collective to suddenly be that special, let's say, because there is no evolution. We are doing that evolution together. So yes, eventually, like, when, for example, one human would be able to, let's say, go into that, let's say, one threshold of, let's say, 5 dimension, if you're looking at it that way, then again, like, collective as well, and other individuals would be also already on that, very close to that path as well. So it wouldn't be happening just to that one person, and overall collective would be already evolved more. But yes, right now there is a lot of polarity in humans as well still, but still individuals can access those activations, let's say, those pathways. And one challenge is as well, like, seeing all that polarity in the world, like, if they are able to reach it, even through all that polarity, and learning through that whatever they need to.
Okay, so I don't know, like, can you like read my energy and like see if you think I'll be able to ascend to the fifth dimension, like in my lifetime at all, and if so, like, when?
Again, like, it's not really about like jumping into fifth dimension. So the answer that I would tell you is no. It's more of like developing your vibration in that fourth density, vibration. So yes, like, going into like complete fifth dimension would be for you basically dying, you will go there when you die. So one answer is like, yes, you would do it in this lifetime, but that would be last thing that you would do.
Okay, so yeah, so like, whenever that leads me to another thing that I was wondering about, like, when I die, like, well, I mean, I'm wondering about like how ascension affects like our parallel incarnations. I mean, I know like, you know, incarnations, it doesn't happen like one after the other. It's kind of like they're happening at the same time. But I don't know, like assuming like, let's say like there's a version of me, like I'm sure I'm going to reincarnate on Earth again in the future. Like I'm sure there's a version of me alive like during the 2100s. So like, would that person be in the fifth dimension when he's incarnated on Earth?
Yes, that's a great question, because as I was saying in the beginning, it's great that, you know, when you ask questions, you are offering us different ways of explaining things. So let's say the ascension, and also coming back to like our previous session, it's best to, let's say, define it like what you are experiencing throughout your life, not as ascension, but rather spiritual awakening. That is maybe the better phrase that should be used on a single life. Let's say it's spiritual awakening. You have a, let's say, certain starting point, and you have a, let's say, certain potential ending point of, and like what you are supposed to do spiritually during this life. So you are doing that, and when you are being incarnated in a specific time frame, all those people who are creating that collective is just one small time frame of all or whole ascension timeline, let's say. So yes, like if you would be incarnated or having incarnation further on the timeline, again, like collective energies are somewhere else, and yes, so you have a different version of you in the reality where, for example, hybrids are already on Earth, you know, living, and that is more of like what you would understand to be more of like 5D reality. But of course, like I would rather call it like for the density, you know, reality. And that I was explaining also at the time that it's more about that vibrational, you know, change, and it's you know, like more about density. So you are bridging, for example, into 4 density, like we are 4 density beings as well. So that's why people experience more of like these symptoms, let's say ascension symptoms or spiritual awakening symptoms, and so more activated of these energetic gifts, you know, that can be, for example, healing or channeling or seeing through third eye, feeling ETs, you know, and connecting with them, and then having experiencing of even seeing them, like for example Justine shared. And all these kind of things are again like a symptoms of that, you know, crossing the threshold into 4 density, which yeah, you can understand it to be like 5-dimensional experience. Yes. So in that sense, like yes, during your life you can experience this transition, but it is not like complete like a jump into, let's say, being 5-dimensional being, completely like being able to do whatever you want in your life. You know, there will be still limits, you know, that's what I wanted to say also before, but you still have potential like everyone else to activate yourself more and have more of those 4-dimensional experiences or 4 density experiences as we have, for example, you know, and to get closer to the potential that you already hold as a human, you know.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So like speaking of lifetimes, do you know roughly how many, how do I put this? Like how many parallel incarnations does the average person have? I mean, is it just infinite, or is there like a certain number of incarnations a person has?
Person, you mean human or?
Yeah, like each individual person.
Yes, it's very difficult question to answer. It's yeah, close to infinite basically, because the question that you are asking is when you would also count in like infinite versions of yourself even, yeah, then of course
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's an infinite number. But yeah, incarnations like completely different, let's say lifetimes. It can be limited, you know, like a certain number, but again, like it can vary, you know, with the person. And again, like this goes also into definitions of what other incarnations are, because it's let's say we could say like like what we were explaining before. You have a soul, you are a soul part of over soul and so on. So basically you have other incarnations as a soul, and that can also sometimes shift, because like you kind of like bring to yourself a certain active connections from the previous or future lives that are important to you to grow. It's like exchange of the information or feelings that you want to ground in this life, and sometimes it can shift. Some connections can kind of like reside, and some other can get stronger. So sometimes it's very complicated. That this changes. These things can shift. It's not completely static as well. Like this is settled, number of incarnations that you have, and it never changes. It can go lower, it can go higher, let's say, in that way. So for, let's say, one human, it can be coming from, like, let's say, lower numbers are 300,000, other incarnations. That is like a lowest, let's say, that I can say, but it can go like to the number that is so high that I don't have words basically for. So it really depends on, because some souls, let's say, can be younger, some souls can be older and have so many, other versions or other incarnations. And again, like if we would as well include into it like souls of that are in the oversoul, that is as well like such a huge number that I really cannot even say. You don't have a kind of like words for those high numbers.
Right. Yeah. Okay, I get the idea.
So yeah, close to infinite. Yeah, we can close it with the close to infinite.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, I guess the final question that I have for today, it's a question that I've asked you a lot, but I mean, maybe you can give me, like you can update your answer. Like when do you expect contact to happen? Like there's a lot of people who are I don't want to say any names, but a lot of channelers, say contact's going to happen very soon, this year, by the end of 2022. And then I don't know. I think that seems a little bit unrealistic. Can you give your own estimate of when you expect like contact and disclosure to happen?
Yes, again, like contact is already like a very late stage of you having a lot of experiences, individuals having a lot of experiences on their own, when this was open up very much, and everyone, like a open contact will happen in the moment where basically everyone already knows for certain that we are here, that we exist. Way too many people would already have experiences with us, direct and so on. And so official open contact would be only or already because it would be just obvious, like it's almost like you are sitting with someone in the same room and not talking to them basically, or ignoring that they are there, so it would happen that way. And so this moment that I'm just describing, it can happen like around 2030 year, and after that that it would be like really shift into like really having us here. But as well, like it depends on many other things, like how things evolve. It could be also kind of like time frame between 2030 and 2040, for example, is the window. Then it could happen, and we should be here and accept it. And most likely like 2050, it should be like already kind of like reality for you. In whatever way, in whatever kind of like reality, because some realities can manifest in a negative way, let's say. And for the disclosure, like if you are waiting for a disclosure, let's say from some kind of entity like government or something like that, that is kind of like in the power, then it's not likely to happen anytime soon. It can happen like if you, let's say, win against the people who are in power right now. And if you would be able to replace them in a certain way, it doesn't mean that you have to replace them for another different government that you wish it would work that way right now. It can, like, when you would be ready to let go of control that you are right now under, that who is really interested only to enslave you, like when that would end, you would have new idea how to actually function as a society, not necessarily typical government type of experience. And then after that, like when things start changing in this way, then some kind of disclosure can happen that would be like, you would be allowed, or people who have that information would be allowed, to really provide proper proofs, and it would be really seen as a true proofs, because you of course already have many, but for many people, or majority of people, it can be kind of like not enough. It would be still kind of like I just they could just believe in that, and without any proper proof. So it would be like that. So yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, yeah, it sucks that I won't be able to ascend to the 5th dimension in my lifetime, but yeah, hopefully I'll be able to have contact at least in my lifetime.
Yes, I feel like you're still not completely understanding what I'm saying. It's not about, again, trying to have a contact and connecting contact with the 5th dimension, that you have to become 5th dimension or something like that to have a contact. It's not connected. Again, as I was saying, it's about your personal spiritual awakening, and so having certain realizations on that path, and changing yourself, or letting yourself change, get maybe inspired with like how others people are doing it, and then you would understand more. And it's basically just really working with yourself. If right now, like every one of you would be able to have a physical contact only if you would be, let's say, more conscious, more healed, went through getting rid of certain beliefs and stuff like that. You just need to get more conscious. That is basically what, as well as if you want to call it that way, ascension is, or spiritual awakening is. It's about you getting more and more conscious and deeply understanding as well who you are, your purpose, your existence, and really getting deeper into some feelings, of who you are as a being who exists throughout time, not just as a human, as a 3D human, let's say. So that is the shift, that is as well 5-dimensional shift in the mind and energy. You wouldn't change if as like a human, really, that you would be able to suddenly teleport. That is not being 5D. 5D is really energy that you can hold, and many people who are on that spiritual awakening path are already grounding it. And what it is basically that expansion of their consciousness, so it is about that. And I'm not saying that you will not have, or you are not able to reach those potentials, of having 5D experience, let's say. But you ask me about like jumping into like really being fully 5D being, because it's not about that. I wouldn't as well consider myself like in that sense like a 5D, how you are kind of like understanding it or trying to understand it. I am still a physical being. I of course can shift throughout time and space, but I am still understanding myself more through vibration of my physical existence of in like for the density. I don't know. Like, do you understand what I mean?
Yeah, I understand the general concept. Yeah, I understand that, like, contact and ascension are 2 totally different things. But well, yeah, I don't want to take up any more time. I guess, yeah, that'll be the end of my questions for today. James, do you have questions next?
No, I think we've gone through everyone. Thank you, everybody, for your questions today. Perhaps does anyone have any questions just before we wrap up?
Can I have just quick question?
Sure.
Yes.
Is it about hybrid being? Do I have any hybrid ring? Is it possible for you to say?
Hybrid what?
Hybrid children, sorry.
Children. Yes, you are connected with let's say our program, our agenda. Yeah, and of course, like I forgot to as well mention before about free will and connected with the hybrid children, for example. And so yeah, that also, you know, just falls into the general idea that I was speaking about, that, you know, there is a certain constant happening on a soul level when we meet and go through certain stages of contact. Then you really, you know, there is a certain desire that we feel, and you just want to go into that. Of course, some humans can reject it eventually, but those are sometimes, you know, those who as well had more of like a experience with the grace, who not necessarily always did it in a consensual way, you know. They didn't necessarily always care about it. It depends on the group, of course. But yes, you are having, you know, like contact with us. You are donor, yes, to making hybrid children. So you have a couple of them.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Anybody else?
Okay, so I guess we can then finish, and I'm very, very happy again for all the questions and interactions. I'm very pleased with how you received them, and that I was able to help you. But as well as I was saying before, that, you know, like whatever, you know, as well I say whenever, you know, it's always just for inspiration, and you always have to guide yourself and learn to guide yourself through those resonances and feelings that are guiding you, because it's all about, you know, connecting with your intuition, that is basically your higher self speaking to you. And that is the way to have more spiritual awakening, more contact with the ethers and so on. So it's always, you know, like when you take the information, you always, you know, have to as well act from yourself, you know, from really learning how you can act from yourself, and not just according to what someone tells you. You know, you have to explore with your consciousness to actually, you know, get somewhere. So that's what I want to finish with, you know, that I'm not, you know, all-knowing, and of course I always give you with the best advices that I resonate in the moment that I'm feeling to give you. But of course it's always about the moment of your life, that I cannot, you know, see every single second of your life, you know, that you always have to follow like what moment is offering to you, and it's your life, so you have to live it. I'm just here to give some reflections.
Well, thank you very much, Shayla.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I wrap it up then, and good night and good day to the rest of you. Bye bye.
All right. Thanks, Shayla.
Bye.
Bye-bye.